Somehow that's less gross than what happened in the van in episode 2. Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and we are back with another reaction to The Umbrella Academy, the final season, season 4. We're now into episode 4, which is called The Cleanse. Yes, that word has been the thorn in our side all season long. It's what's causing all this trouble so far. We're going to hopefully find out what it's all about and where Jennifer fits into all of it, because Jennifer is the penultimate thing of this season, it looks like. She is what's going to be the make or break of it all. But last episode, we had the background on Jennifer, a little bit of her anyways, why she's seemingly important. And we also discovered that none of the Umbrella Academy kids know how Ben died in their timeline. None of them have any memories of it. So they know that Reginald of that world must have tampered with their memories. So they've decided that they want to get those memories back. So they're in the process of doing that, with the exception of Klaus, who has decided to go on a bender, which did not go well for him. And he's now being held captive by one of his dealers. And this dealer now knows that he's immortal and says he's got some plans for Klaus. So I'm interested as to what that could possibly be and why Jean and Jean let Ben and Jennifer go. So many things to get into in this episode. So let's jump right in. Just before I do though, you know the drill. If you'd like to be in the know of when I drop episodes, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you're in the know. All right, that out of the way, let's get into the episode right now.
Let's go, get your asses in gear. My man, Diego.
My ass is always in gear.
Always so peppy.
California is sober, Allison.
Come on, guys, just hurry up. Dad's waiting.
Oh, Allison's always taking care of him. Hey, Benny.
And what do you think you're doing?
I thought I could help on this mission.
Respectfully, your help will kill us all. So no.
You look ridiculous.
That wasn't necessary.
A Moldovan arms dealer has acquired a deadly new weapon.
Not the Moldovans again.
Whatever you do, it is imperative that you keep the weapon contained.
Why do I think Jennifer's the weapon?
Under any circumstances,
Engage.
open the container.
Yeah. Ben opened it, didn't he? But then if Ben saw her, why did... Unless she touched him in that timeline too and changed him? Because I'm just thinking he could have just wiped Ben's memory. I'm assuming he took Ben out now.
Buckle up, children.
Aw.
Prepare for departure.
I missed him. I kind of forgot that he's gone. This is so cool, you know, because I always wanted to see what they were like as kids when they were on missions, because all we got was a few choppy fat flashbacks. But I wouldn't mind like a prequel Umbrella Academy, like what they were like before everybody split up. I mean, maybe not, because it would have been Reggie being really mean to them too. But you know what I mean.
Someone in there?
I mean, I can't even blame Ben. Your natural instinct is to help someone. That's what they were taught they were supposed to do. But I mean, it wouldn't have changed if their dad had told him it was a girl who was a weapon in his mind.
Take my hand. Ben, what the hell are you doing? There's someone in here. We have to get her out.
Yeah, I had a feeling it happened before. It just kept happening.
Okay, let's go. Ben.
Dad did it.
I told you not to open the container.
And that's why they were fated. So what about her touch? Because Ben was drawing her last season too. Her face. Something about that touch. How poetical. Oh, an umbrella. Ha 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 ha.
You murdered our brother!
Wasn't him.
And
The other
Jennifer.
version.
It's not his fault. Reg is not responsible for what happened to your brother and that poor girl. I am.
Huh? Come again.
Unbeknownst to me, a second particle was created, Durango. When Marigold and Durango interact, they cause a reaction, a physical reaction.
I don't mean to be a dick and all, but what the fuck does any of this have to do with us?
It's happened again and y'all are gonna die again.
It is inside of Jennifer. That's why it's imperative that none of you can come into contact with her.
Too late.
We end the world.
Again.
You and me, we're connected somehow.
Damn it, Ben. Why did you end the world?
Was there anything unusual about this rash?
It was glowing.
No, it's just, red
Glowing.
and glowing.
Thank you. Important.
I've heard enough.
I'm going to kill you all now.
before the reaction is complete.
Reaction. You do realize that you're talking about human beings and not lab rats,
Do you all
correct?
want to die?
One life isn't more important than the entire planet.
Oh, but your wife's is. My whole life, all I wanted was for you to see me.
Other Reginald.
To make me a part of the team.
Other Reginald.
And I am not gonna let you kill Ben, not now, not ever. Am I clear?
All right. Jesus, take a pill.
Our most gifted medium is...
I knew he was going to use him as a medium. I knew it. Really? We're trying to get drunk off the perfume, Klaus?
Enjoy.
How much can this possibly make? Actually, it's not. I shouldn't say anything. There are people willing to pay millions if they think they're getting a legit medium.
Swerved to miss a deer and drove headfirst over a cliff.
Is that what they told you? Sounds like he meant to do that. The theatrics. I can't with you, Klaus. I kind of miss this Klaus, though, so I'm not mad. She's like, they don't look clean, the hands, but I'll try it.
Passing over the great divide between our world.
I mean, the man's been a scammer, so. Yep. Messed around till you actually did it, Klaus.
She has an ass like a Georgia peach.
Okay.
Well, the man outside said that you would be able to provide certain services.
Oh, no, you're not going to let yourself get possessed for this, are you?
I brought cash.
Wonderful.
She said, I'm ready.
Hop on board, Dick.
He hates it. I feel so bad, but.
You betcha, sweet peachy ass.
It really is you.
Damn. Not him whoring himself out both spiritually and physically. Oh, Klaus, how far you've fallen. But I'm trying to figure out how this fits into the major plot.
Ben is an asshole. I'll give you that, but a mass murderer.
It's not your Ben.
Based on the signs of rigor, I'd say time of death was 6, maybe 7 hours ago.
What do you know about rigor?
Wichita PD.
I was about to say, it sounds very TV-like, but hey, you learned some things great.
Why don't we use that little time tutor of yours, go back in time, and stop the coming Armageddon?
How would that?
Like, he's done it a few times.
All right, fine. First sign of trouble, we're coming back.
We do have one problem, though.
My stalker, aka your husband.
Can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah, you did tell him you wanted you wanted to be separated right before he had a traumatic break, so maybe you can talk to him, Lila.
You're just as bored as I am. All right, remember, you're the one that snuck out to those keepers.
Thank you. Let's not get too judgy. Pot kettle.
Those are my brothers. Now, they're kind of stepping all over the crime scene, asking me questions. It's getting in my way.
Oh, the llama.
Show them around, maybe let them hold some guns.
Babysit my brothers, yes.
I want this case solved, don't you?
So funny when it looks like he's the younger one.
Love to give you an insider's look, if you're interested.
No, not really.
We're in.
Right?
Good.
Exactly. Luther wants nothing of the sort. He just wants to shake his booty on a pole and go home to a nice wife. That's all he wants.
I really need this right now, man. Life sucks.
It doesn't suck. You're just focusing on what you don't like. A rotary phone? Woo!
Come on, Claude.
Now, children who were born with in the year that started with a 2, yeah, those are old phones called rotary phones. That's what we used to have to use to call people way back in the day.
Once upon a time, I had bad oysters in Cairo.
Front.
Thank you very much.
But somebody wanted their really dry egg burger.
What you need to understand about your uncle is that he has a disease, okay? He's really, really sick.
What about you?
Mommy.
Maybe it's time you need to look at your side of the street.
Oh!
Excuse me?
Girl!
If you know all of this about him, then why do you keep letting him back into your life? Seems like you need to address your inability to set healthy boundaries.
Tell her, Claire!
Uncle Klaus is immortal, right?
Yeah, so?
So why do you keep trying to save someone who can literally save himself?
Exactly. I think we need to let Klaus get up on his own.
So are we gonna go look for him, or?
Maybe just this once.
Yeah, I'll go change.
Y'all really do need to let him save himself, for real.
$500 in 30 minutes?
You're not keeping it. You know he's gonna take it. You owe him 20 grand. No, 40.
That's for food. What? For rent.
Yeah, you owe him 40K.
What's it gonna be, my little star?
Exactly. Do you ever want to leave? He's gonna take the drugs. And the fact that this was a choice. A choice, Klaus. Well, you gotta say, this is a very organized cult. I give them that. Cracked they may be, but disorganized they are not.
Bring him over.
I'm so sorry I didn't recognize you, by the way, Nick Offerman. It took me a minute. I'm like, I know your face, bro. The mustache threw me off big time.
I very much hope so. Denny Muntz, Red Deer chapter.
Red Deer?
Never heard of it.
Canada?
May I call you Gene?
No, you may not.
It's Dr. Thibodeau.
Don't be rude.
Yeah, right? You're defending the girl? And she can't have a guy flirt with her? Okay.
Tight squeeze.
Jealous. That's the art of subtle flirting, friends. That's how you do it.
I could eat, Gene.
Oh.
Thank you. Chickadoo.
That silent simmer. I want to see them fight.
Hey.
Jesus, they're merging.
I've never felt this way about anyone before.
It's a chemical reaction.
Once we get some rest, I think it's best if we go our separate ways.
How am I supposed to do that?
I'm obsessed with you.
When I was 6, I was pulled out of the stomach of a giant squid.
So that happened in this timeline too.
Nobody ever came to claim me.
Ew.
Ben? You still there?
Yes, just horrified.
Obviously, we're meant to be together. Me with my tentacles. You, the miracle squid girl.
That's the association. That's what you took from that? Okay.
That has to be fate, right?
Not in the way you think. But maybe you are meant to end the world together. How Romeo and Juliet of y'all.
What channel are you on?
6.
6 is Ben's number, right?
Avoid getting killed. And warp back to 2006. Stop
You know
that
Lila
forever
does
going
not
all
follow
over.
instructions, right? I wish this would work, but we all know that from all the previous seasons, whenever these two just go, or anyone goes off on their own, nothing ever works well. They have to work together.
The
Really?
lady is back for more.
Damn, ma'am, it's not even been a
So, more dick?
Yeah, I had a feeling. I'm like, something's really weird about the way she described that death.
I stood by and I watched you squander our money to dice and hussy.
I told you she killed that man.
I'll never tell you, you heartless whore.
They actually got, oh my God. The way they're not using any urgency here, I'm dead.
You're standing in the heart of the most powerful intelligence apparatus in the history of the world.
If you say so. MI6 exists, but okay.
It's Paris. Who's that?
We're in the wrong timeline. We need to go.
Hey!
Okay, well, look, we're in the wrong timeline, but clearly...
Let's say it
we're in
couldn't
the
be that simple.
Take this train 3 stops to this squiggly line. Transfer at the division symbol.
She might actually be reading it, you know. Lila's that crazy. You couldn't choose the window that's at least to the left of the direct view of the door?
Delicious Jesus, you bitch. Mama.
You couldn't hold off on that celebration? Okay. But, you know, Claire was right. He can rescue himself if he really needs to. I knew he lied about that. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's in the ground. I feel like you were followed. Things never just work out for Klaus the way they're supposed to.
Thank you.
Told you.
Just.
I mean, I'll be fine. Seriously, Klaus, you have powers. This is so lame.
You find that gun in the Cracker Jack box?
You had to bring your big boys with you?
That's right. How about I put a hole in that?
Well, I don't know why he's hiding. Like, he's going to be fine. Anyway, one left? All right, let's leave before their spirits show up, shall we?
I was so not expecting
Really?
that.
I kind of was.
Fucking head.
All right. He loves you.
When you open the goddamn lid.
Well, that's gotta suck because you're just gonna keep dying and coming back when that oxygen runs out. That's gotta suck. Oh, Klaus. All of that could have been avoided. Also, help yourself. You have powers.
But when things go to hell, which inevitably they do, they're there for me.
More evidence humans are an inferior
Damn.
species.
Damn. He's fronting, though. You know he'll do anything for his wife, so he does understand the concept of love. He just never extended it to you kids. Is it not stopping?
That was our stop.
It's not stopping. Uh-oh. It's starting to make sense. That's probably bad. Oh God, now where are you going? You're in the internet again. What? How did we get here? That's okay. Sure. You know what? Ben hasn't gotten any in 3 seasons. I think he's the only one who no, 5 hasn't either. Oh God, they're gonna kill everything. Oh! Oh! Okay! That's not pleasant! Somehow that's less gross than what happened in the van in episode 2. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that. Y'all, you're really cold, okay? The first time Ben gets laid in 4 seasons and y'all have to make like the end of the world and Black Death happen. That is, telling you, it sounds fishy. It's not right. It's not okay. It's feeling very anti-Ben and I'm not down for it. Okay, guys. Well, that was episode 4 and now we know, I think, what this cleanse is about. We're not talking about one timeline. We're talking about all the timelines of all time gone. That's what it means. That's what happens if the cleanse happens. So we got the backstory a little bit on why the situation happened with the Jennifer incident. The kids got their memories back, and I suspected all along that Reginald took Ben out, that's probably what happened, but I just could never imagine why. But the more we got up to this episode, it started to fall into place that something about him, as soon as he said, don't open the box, I was like, Ben, open the box. That's what happened. And whatever was in it or whatever it was about this girl, they must have touched. And that was why Reginald took them out. So, I mean, on a completely coldly logistical standpoint, I get it. I get why Reggie did it and he wasn't wrong because we found out wasn't wrong logistically. Logically, I should say. So, I mean, as a person, as a human, of course, intrinsically horrible and wrong, but logically not wrong. We found out from Reggie's wife, who I forgot her name, I'm sorry, but she said that she's the one who actually created Marigold. And on their planet, it was this wonderful thing. It was great. But what she didn't realize is when she created the Marigold, she also created a subparticle, which was called Durango. And Durango is like the antithesis of Marigold. And I think the Marigold, I think, is like creation, whereas Durango is like destruction. Something like that's what I'm getting, because she's saying it's like the opposite. Either way, she says when they get together, it's bad. It basically just causes what I would call the equivalent of a nuclear reaction, and it wipes out everything. So this is why Reggie and her had to flee their planet with what little they could and try to find a way to stop Marigold and Durango from ever coming in contact again. So because it sounds like she said most people on her world didn't survive. So that explains it. We didn't get a lot of explanation. I know we touched on it in season 2 around what Reggie is and how these powers happen, but now we know it was definitely that Reginald, and every timeline, he shows up at Earth along with his wife. I mean, sometimes I guess his wife doesn't make it, but either way, they bring the Marigold to Earth and the Marigold gets out, whether it's because, I don't know, that part I think is still fuzzy as to whether or not the Marigold was purposefully let out or if when they landed on Earth, it just got out there. But my guess is that Reginald just released it because he wanted to see what would happen. And that's how these special kids arrived. Like the Marigold got out there, hit certain women, and as we know, instantaneous pregnancy, here we go. So anyways, now we know why Reginald in the other timeline felt the only alternative was to take out Ben and the girl. And also, how did he get there that fast? Because he called his dad and within a matter of minutes, he was there. That's crazy. So Reggie must have already been there or he sent someone else. Anyways, that's besides the point. Just my brain realizing the time on that does not really add up. But anyways, we see that that is why Reggie took out Ben and took out Jennifer. Then he realized that something like that was going to cause such trauma to the kids that they wouldn't be able to work together anymore. So he altered their memories and made them think that Ben had died in a tragic accident, and he wiped all knowledge of Jennifer out of their minds and left it. And this is where, you know, again, I just wonder, I guess I understand, because Reggie is so coldly logical. He just didn't think that sitting the kids down and explaining to them why he did what he did, like why he did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course they still would have been utterly traumatized, but I think they would have, especially like, well, Five wasn't there, but we know that Luther and Diego probably would have been on board, right? I mean, bless him, Klaus would have been too high to care, but you get my point. Like, they were all old enough at that point that he could have explained, just like the mother did, that, hey, unfortunately, what's going on is that if we let them live, everybody on Earth would have died. I had no other choice, right? They would have hated him for it, which he didn't care, because he didn't care that they hated him anyway, but they would have understood, if that made sense. But the fact that he just ripped that from them and just decided not to let them know, and also to understand that their very existence could be a danger to the planet if this other element ever made its way to the planet again. Like, that's a kind of huge thing that these kids should know, and anyone out there who possibly had Marigold. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my God. Anyway, just crazy to me that it didn't cross the logical man's brain that maybe he should have had a conversation with them about this. But I think he never had an intent of them figuring out what they were or how their powers came about, right? He always kind of wanted to keep a shroud of mystery around them about that. And I think that was definitely their timeline version's Reggie's biggest mistake, was not trusting those kids with the weight of what they were, right? He just kind of tried to turn them into like this experiment and really didn't think about the long-term repercussions. But as soon as the Jennifer incident happened, that should have been his key to say, I better tell them about what they are. I better tell them a little bit of something about what could happen if they ever get in contact with something like this in the future. Because if they'd known that, then Ben would not have touched her. Do you know what I'm saying? If even he'd had an idea that could exist, they could have just figured out, they could have found a way to contain Jennifer and get her away from them, or get her, and as horrible as it sounds, maybe jettison her to another planet or something, right? But the fact that they never told them, like, of course Ben was going to rescue a girl in trouble. Of course he was. He's not a complete terrible person. What? Like, anyway, about the only person I think that would have left her there, who is Reggie's strongest soldier? Probably Five. Yeah, Five would have done it, but everybody else would have rescued that girl, right? So anyway, it's good to know more about why Jennifer happened and what the issue is with Jennifer. We still don't know how she got there, though. We heard Jennifer say in this episode she has no recollection of having a family. Her first memory was being found in the squid, and she has no idea how she got there. She's saying she thinks she was thrown overboard and no one ever came to claim her. So considering how the rest of the Umbrella Academy was created, I'm assuming that Jennifer was created inside the squid. That's going to be my assumption, that it somehow just formed in the squid for some reason, because squids don't just eat people either. So, and you know, they don't really do that. So I'm thinking she probably just literally came to be in the squid somehow. So now we know what the cleanse is and why it's so important to try to stop it. And of course, everybody, when they were hearing this from Reggie, they were like, okay, this is kind of crazy. But, you know, of course, Reggie's like, this Reggie said we need to take out Ben. And they're like, no, we're not losing Ben. Like, that was traumatic the first time around. We're not doing it again, even if it's not our Ben. And we see that Victor finally gets a chance to say all the things that he's been keeping in since the first season, right? In the first season, Victor Vanya discovered what he was capable of after thinking his whole life that he had no powers. And then to find out that he did, and that their dad kept him from being able to use those powers, and, you know, just made him feel so bad. Like, even looking at the flashback they gave of when, you know, Vanya at that time was trying to go in Ben's place because Ben didn't want to go on the mission, which, God, if Ben hadn't gone on the mission that day, imagine. But anyway, and instead of saying to her, oh, you know, you're not prepared, like, you know, you haven't trained with the team, or even just saying no, a simple no would have been okay then, but you take that off. You look ridiculous. You can't go and walk. Like, it's just the fact that he had to add the extra layer of vim to all the interactions with Vanya, like she was somehow some dirty thing that he needed to be ashamed of. Like, that was really what was so gross about the way he treated her. And of course, we know that that all bottled into what eventually happened at the end of season 1. So yeah, Victor had a lot to say. Understandably, a lot of resentment, a lot of hate. And we heard it in that speech about how he always felt like he was the broken one and something was wrong with him, when really it was him. And it was true. Like, I'm not the problem. The Umbrella Academy is not the problem. You were the problem. You came and brought your world's problems here and no solution on how to fix them, and tried to get us to fix them, and then blamed us when we didn't understand because you didn't tell us the truth, right? So anyways, I think it was a valid talking to, and I understand that Victor needs to get that off their chest because, you know, it's not like he can tell his real dad, the one that actually raised them, all this stuff. So same sort of person, same face, done. Therapeutic moment had. So anyways, yeah, and Reggie, let's face it, Reggie's kind of an ass, so he deserves to be put on his ass from time to time. So yeah, that was kind of a big moment for Victor, and I'm glad that he got that off of his chest, and hopefully now he can move forward with not carrying so much bitterness, because we know that Victor's been very bitter since season 1 and taking it out on the rest of the group a lot, particularly on Allison. And again, I talked about this a lot last season. I'm not mad about that part because what Allison did and the fact that Allison never really felt the need to be honest with Vanya and then Victor about this. I understand why, you know, Victor still does not really forgive Allison. Like he said last episode, like, we're family, but we're not friends. Like, I still don't feel like we're to that point yet. I do think Victor can get there, but maybe now that Victor has said what is needed to be said to their dad, maybe now Victor can kind of move past the resentment that he feels towards Allison, because Allison is just as much a victim as Victor is, in the sense of the manipulation and the trauma that their father used to, you know, get her to use the rumor on young Vanya. So yeah, anyways, I do hope they can work it out, because Allison definitely misses that bond that she had with Victor, and I feel like they could still work through it if they tried. But anyways, that was Victor back at the house when they realized everything that happened, and of course letting Ben go. And Luther. One thing I love about Luther's character, though, is that they always kind of paint him to be such an airhead, which in a way he kind of is, but he's always been hyper observant. Like, he really, really does care about every single one of his siblings, and he keeps such a watchful eye on them out of love, but he also is always trying to be the cohesive bond and the person who just tries to keep everyone together. And that's why a lot of times he lets so much slide. And I've always said this, that I always feel so bad for Luther, because they really do shit on him, all of them, so much for being kind. And last season was like the first time his character finally had someone who loved him for him and didn't take advantage of that kindness or try to make him feel like he was a bad person for it. And he lost her. Like, I still hope he gets Sloane back somehow. I don't know, but I really think he deserves it. Like, Allison got to have her true love. I believe that he deserves to have his too. So I'm hoping somehow Sloane comes back. But anyway, poor Luther. But yes, back to Luther being very observant. He saw the rash. I wasn't sure if anyone hadn't seen it, but he did. But I get that I completely understand why he didn't say anything. Like, I get it. Like he's saying, we've all been glitching with our powers. All of us have had new manifestations, weird things happening. Even before he got the rash, his tail was hanging out all funny. Like, Ben's not been okay. So it's like, I just thought he was just having some physical stuff, but I just decided not to push him since he was being hyper volatile. So anyway, I'm glad that at least he pointed out the fact that they've clearly already touched, so they need to do something and they need to do it quickly. And so now they're gonna have to try to find him, but they have no idea where he went, right? At this point, they knew he was at the ranch, but obviously there's nothing left of anyone who could tell them remotely where they could have gone. But on the good side of things, Jean and Jean also don't know where Ben and Jen. Oh wow, I just realized Ben and Jen, Bennifer. Anyway, that just hit me now, another Bennifer. Anyway, so at least Jean and Jean are also not on their scent at the moment. They set up a whole new hideout at one of these weird drive-through places. And we see that the dad, Cy, aka David Cross, he came to them. He's got the same upside down umbrella on his wrist, the same cult tattoo, although I don't think he's actually part of the cult. He said we're part of the Red Deer chapter, which for those of you who are Canadian, you know that Red Deer is an actual city here, but I don't know. Well, they made a lot of Canadian references in this show because it's filmed in Toronto. But anyways, I don't think that chapter exists. I think he's absolutely infiltrating. I'm feeling like David Cross might be I said in episode 1 that I think maybe somebody from that time travel agency might have somehow gotten into this timeline and is just kind of messing with things. I'm wondering if maybe it's David Cross's character, because I don't think he's actually part of the cult. I think he's just trying to get his hands on Jennifer for his own reasons. And I don't think it's anything to do with what they want, what the keepers want. So anyway, he's come in and he said he wants to talk about Jennifer, and for the time being, Jean and Jean are playing ball, but I think it's pretty clear that they know he's lying, but they know that he knows a lot, so that's why they're not just taking him out immediately. So it'll be interesting to find out what this whole dynamic is between these three, and if they're gonna continue to play this little, what would you even call it? This little chess game. Let's see how long it goes on between them to figure out who's going to give up the most information or who's going to admit that they know that this is all a big farce first. So we'll have to see more of that, I guess, in the next episode. And then we see that, not much to say about, we don't say much about the whole thing with, Diego and Luther going to the CIA, because we all know that's not real, but I have a feeling they weren't just sent there for no reason. It wasn't just to give their character something to do. I have a feeling they're going to see or find something there that will help with this case somehow. So they're there at the moment. And then we see that Five and Lila decided to go, like Lila's like, let's go. You have the time travel ability. Let's go back to the station. We'll go back in time. We'll go back to, like you said, we'll go back to the future because we know that's your timeline. And then we'll from there jump back to 2006. We'll stop Ben from going on that mission, and then they won't touch. And then hopefully this whole thing will stop, right? The Jennifer incident won't happen. Although if Ben doesn't go, does that mean they'll be successful? They don't know. But anyway, and also, are they going to be okay with blowing up a little girl? Anyway, so that's what her plan was. And Five was like, sure, why not? Like, no one else in the group's going to be okay with it. So let's try doing it. So they decide to do that. And they go back to what they thought was the exact same point in time, but it's not. It's actually another timeline. I was like, if I know this show very well, there's no way they're going to go straight back to the exact same point. And they didn't. They ended up being, and again, we don't know whether it's because he didn't go back to his own timeline or if it means that when he jumped back, actually, there's three possibilities. One is that when he went back the first time, it wasn't actually his timeline, just one that was very similar, or that he went back, they got back to the original timeline when they first got to like the end of the world, but then when he jumped back to 2006, he actually jumped to a different timeline. That's also possible. So yeah, there's a few possibilities as to why they ended up in a Sparrow/Umbrella Academy situation. But obviously they were in the wrong place, and so they had to go back, and they got back on the train thinking they were gonna get back to their timeline, but the train didn't stop at their stop. And now the overhead speaker that's been talking in backwards warbling nonsense suddenly starting to make sense. So I'm scared. I was less freaked out by it not making sense. Now that it's starting to make sense, I'm like, uh-oh. So we'll have to see where they ended up because they don't know where they're going. And it looks like they went through some other time-space portal again. And did that cover oh, Klaus. Yes, we see that Allison went home, her and Claire got together, talked about Klaus, and basically, I love it. Claire just gathered her mom, as she should, and was like, sis, don't be judging Klaus too hard because you have your stuff all over the place too. And also, like, maybe we should stop always picking up the pieces after Klaus because he's a grown man and he's immortal. So really, there's nothing he can't get himself out of at this point. He can even hang out on the other side if he wants to for a while. So anyway, they had that discussion, but in the end, they're like, like, you know, Allison, I knew she was full of it. Like, taking care of Klaus is what she does. So, of course, they're going to go see if they can find him. And Klaus, we see, I was right. My guess that he was going to become a medium was right. So that's what this man was doing, pimping him out for medium purposes. And like I said, Klaus wasn't exactly hating it, but he quickly realized he was never going to pay off that debt because, of course, these are criminals. They're not going to give you your money's worth, sir. So, of course, they were not giving him back any of the money. Plus, Klaus was just continuing to incur debt by staying high. But he did manage to break out when he found out that there was money to be had. So we see that he managed to almost swindle more money, but as usual, Klaus's plans were never well thought through. So he was caught, and now he is trapped in a box, in a coffin, being buried alive. Which is actually, if you ever watch the show Misfits, which is the first show I saw Robert Sheehan in, which I loved him in, do watch it because this scene, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit of an homage because it's a bit of a, let's just say his character in that show went through a very similar, almost exact situation. Let me stop. I'm gonna leave it there. In case you want to watch the show, it's worth it. It's a British show, Misfits. Anyway, so that's where we're at. Coffin Klaus. Boys at the CIA, God knows where the time travelers are going. Jean and Jean start figuring things out, and we see that Bennifer is getting it on and literally destroying the world while they do it. So that's also very Buffy-esque. If you ever watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, there's an episode where her and Riley keep getting it on, and the whole world's like falling apart because they're getting it on actually is a bad spell that ends up like destroying everything. A lot of references. Anyway, good episode. Still loving it. Love how they're weaving this plot. Ready to find out where we're going to go from here with only 2 episodes left. I'm just wondering what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. Also, yes, a little bit of Victor saying that he wants to try to take the marigold out of Ben to stop this apocalypse from happening. Ben is a human. Interesting concept. I'm interested to see what would happen. So yeah, I like the episode a lot, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching along with me. If you did, please show some love, and I will see you in the next one.